Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. Today we have another episode of Spooky Snack, a series on my channel where I talk about spooky stories, spooky subjects while I turn myself into a snack. It looks low-key like I have like no clothes on, but I swear I do. I just have a bodysuit that I didn't realize was going to be so low in the frame. Like, you can probably have an idea. I mean, you've seen the thumbnail, but you probably have an idea of the costume I'm going with today with the red and the green, but you'll see the full reveal at the end. So, for today's spooky snack episode, have you heard of the Mothman? Not to be confused with the Muffin Man who lives on Drury Lane, but the Mothman, guys. This is one of my favorite folklore stories. It's definitely kind of in that group of with Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster. Personally, I'm definitely someone who believes in Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster. The Mothman, I don't know. So let's get into it, and then you can tell me at the end if you believe in the Mothman and what you think about it. Now, our story begins on November 15th, 1966, when four friends, Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Millette, would experience something that would completely change their lives and the lives of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, forever. The four friends were driving down Route 62 past the National Guard Armory building and power plant when they reportedly saw a large figure emerge from the building. This figure reportedly stood between 6 to 7 feet tall, and while it was standing in the headlights, the creature's eyes glowed bright red. So obviously Roger, who was the driver, immediately sped away because they were just so surprised and so shocked at what they were seeing. Now, scary enough for them, the creature actually followed them while they were running away, or riding away, I should say. Now, according to these eyewitnesses' account, this thing rose up from the ground almost like a helicopter. It wasn't flapping its wings to start flying, it just rose up like a helicopter does and took off in flight after them. They did say though that when it was running from the power plant, it was a rather clumsy runner, which I think is so hilarious. I just imagine it flailing around, but then once it flies, it's this most creepy, majestic thing. I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting detail that they brought up. Now, Steve Millette would describe the creature as standing around 6 to 7 feet tall, having a wingspan of 10 feet long, and its red eyes were about 2 inches wide and 6 inches apart. So this was a really, really big creature. He said, quote, "It was like a man with wings. It wasn't like anything you'd see on TV or in a monster movie. We went downtown, turned around, and went back, and there it was again. It seemed to be waiting on us." End quote. Now, yeah, that's right. The four people decided to actually go back to the scene where they saw this creature to make sure that they weren't just seeing things. They wanted to make sure what they saw the first time was in fact what they saw before they went to the police. So the four of them drove back to the power plant to see if they could find the creature again. And lo and behold, there it was. Like he said, almost as if the creature had been waiting there for them to come back. Now, Steve said that once they saw it again, the light gray creature flew up and across the top of the car and then proceeded to scurry away into the woods behind them. Now, the four of them kind of deduced and speculated that the creature had been actually living in the abandoned power plant because they said that they saw that there were pigeons that lingering around the other buildings, but not that one specifically where they had seen the Mothman come out of. Which, honestly, if you think about it, makes sense. If this thing is real, I imagine it would be a predator to birds and small animals, so it would only make sense for them not to linger around in the same building as this supposedly huge, creepy creature. So like I said, the four went back into town so that way they could actually report this whole incident to the police. And it's said that one of the police officers there actually knew the kids, and he honestly believed that they had to have been telling the truth because he knew them and he knew that this didn't seem like something they would make up on their own, and the fact that all of their stories matched up exactly, this officer decided to take their report really seriously. He really didn't think that they were just making this up for some kind of prank. So the police would actually ask the group to show them where this incident happened and take them back there. Now, unfortunately, when the group and the police went back to the location, the Mothman was nowhere to be found. All they could find was a hoof print, a small pile of dust that had been kicked up, and of course the horrific memories of these 4 now traumatized individuals who saw this unbelievable creature come after them. Now, like I said, this incident would, as you can imagine, really have an effect on the 4 individuals who supposedly came into contact with the Mothman. In fact, Linda Scarberry actually reported that supposedly the men in black came to visit her while she was recovering from the stress and anxiety of the whole incident. Now, this was just the first major exciting incident with the Mothman, but this would not be the last. In fact, one 25-year-old man would actually later on claim that he saw the Mothman during bright daylight. Now, the man was headed towards a farm which was north of Point Pleasant when he claimed to have seen the creature rise up just like a helicopter, very similar to the group of 4 who claimed the exact same thing. He said it then flew overhead at approximately 70 miles an hour toward the Ohio River, which was clocked much slower than some of the other Mothman incidents. I forgot to mention this before, but the group of 4 who first had their incident with the Mothman, they reported that when they were driving away, they were going upwards of 100 miles an hour, but the Mothman was actually able to keep up with them. So this guy, he clocked it a little slower, but at the same time, maybe if he wasn't, fleeing away as fast, then there was no point for the Mothman to go as fast as before. I can see that being a theory. Now, another really interesting incident with the Mothman was actually mentioned in Ryan and Shane's BuzzFeed Unsolved Supernatural video about the Mothman when they went to Point Pleasant to investigate it. The 2 of them interviewed a woman named Lydia Woodall, who was the manager of Village Pizza in Point Pleasant, where they went to have pizza. And she told them a story of how a resident, Danny Scarberry's mother, had a story about having to fight off the Mothman because he was trying to steal Danny in the middle of the night out of his crib. Wait a minute. Danny Scarberry. And then the one lady from the original story is Linda Scarberry. So was Linda Scarberry the mother who had to fight off the Mothman and Danny was her child? Whoa, is it the same family of Scarberry? See, no one made that connection in any of the reports that I said that it was the same lady. And if it is, she either just has really bad luck with the Mothman or interesting. That's all I'm gonna say is, that's interesting. Now, after some of the incidences, people would actually also begin to reporting seeing UFO sightings around the same areas and times when the Mothman was frequently being seen. Now, this would cause some conspiracists, people who come up with or believe in conspiracy theories, conspiracists, this would lead some of them to start to question if maybe the Mothman was actually some form of extraterrestrial being and not just some natural or odd Earth phenomenon. Now, with the initial contact and according to a lot of written reports, the Mothman would be deemed responsible for a host of really strange sightings and events in Point Pleasant and the surrounding areas, such as lurking outside of homes, chasing cars, and even stealing pet dogs. Now, the incident of which he stole a pet dog goes as such. The day before the sighting of the 2 couples experiencing the Mothman, it's possible that the Mothman might have actually ended up stopping at Newell Partridge's home. Yes, Newell Partridge's home in Salem, West Virginia. Now, this account would be reported about in John Keel's book, The Mothman Prophecies, which was written in 1975. So Newell's German Shepherd dog named Bandit, which is so cute. He went running into the woods after seeing a pair of red glowing eyes in the woods, so he went off chasing after them. Like dogs do. Unfortunately, Newell would run in after him, trying to find him, chase him down, but he would find a bunch of paw prints moving around into a circle and then suddenly vanishing. Fortunately, he never found Bandit. Now, after those few incidents, there hadn't been any real major incidents for quite a while. That was up until one Sunday evening in 2016. Now, one man who, it seems as though he really wants to remain anonymous because he wouldn't do any actual interviews with anybody, so I couldn't find the guy's name or anything. This one guy was reportedly driving along State Route number 2 when he saw something jumping from tree to tree. So he pulled over and he actually managed to snap a picture of what he saw. Now, in the photos, you can see that the Mothman, or whatever it is that he captured, appears to have wings with pointed tips and long legs bent at kind of like an awkward angle. Now, the man, he, like I said, declined any form of on-camera interviews, but he was really adamant that the pictures weren't doctored, that he actually took those pictures. He wasn't familiar with how to edit them to fake them at all. And he even said that he actually just recently moved to Point Pleasant and wasn't even made aware of the Mothman legend to begin with. So why would he make it up? Now, when it comes to theories as to why the Mothman lingers around in the Point Pleasant area, a lot of people believe that the Mothman is actually some form of an evil omen that's supposed to warn when tragedy is about to strike. Now, this seems to stem primarily from an incident of tragedy which happened in 1967, which was the Silver Bridge collapse. Now, very sadly, this incident ended up killing 46 people who had been on the bridge, and many witnesses who were able to survive from the incident actually reported seeing the Mothman moments before the bridge collapsed. Now, like I said, this led a lot of people to believe that maybe the Mothman was just some kind of an omen, meant to warn the people. But others believe that this is just a theory created so that way people can come to terms with this horrific tragedy that happened. Basically, them just trying to make it make sense. Now, even more recently, there have been more reports that have began to emerge. These were peaking in 2017. A lot of sightings of the Mothman-like creature began surfacing all over Chicagoland. I was actually able to find a report from NPR that really breaks down 3 different reports from 3 different witnesses with who the witness was, where it was, what date it was, and then their claims of the incident. The first report is from an anonymous witness on August 21st, 2017. Their incident was located in the northerly island during a solar eclipse, actually. And this was reported to Phantoms and Monsters website. Their report says, quote, "We were watching and observing as the moon began its transit when we heard a very loud scream. It sounded like a squeaky truck brakes that squeal when you're pressing hard on them. At first we thought that's what it was. Maybe a CTA bus or big truck with brakes that needed changing or maintenance. Then we heard it again. This time it lasted about 3 seconds, whereas the previous sound was brief. I looked up to see a large object flying low over the docks that stick out into Burnham Harbor from across the water. This object looked like a large black bat, but also had humanoid features such as pronounced arms and legs." End quote. Honestly, I feel like that's such a interesting case to have experienced the Mothman. Not only are you watching an eclipse, but then lo and behold, this creature comes out at you. The second report is from witness Aaron Drain back in also August of 2017. This incident took place in the West Town neighborhood of Chicago, and it was reported to Curious City. Ask me how, but I completely lost the footage of me describing the quote from the second witness and what they saw, so I'm going to read it to you now. They said, quote, "I was spending the afternoon on a rooftop and I saw something in the sky fairly high up and fairly far away. It wasn't being buffeted about by the wind. It was moving slowly but not randomly," end quote. So, unfortunately, this witness doesn't really say anything in particular that's like very specific to the Mothman or give any form of like description of it, but they claim that that's what they think they saw. And the last witness report mentioned in the NPR article comes from a witness named Jeff. This happened on October 26th, 2017 at the Fulton Market Street near the corner of Morgan. And this was reported to the Chicago Reader. Jeff's report says, quote, "At first I thought it was a bird, but none I'd seen before because it was just so huge and the way it was flapping its wings. The longer I watched it, it was like, what the hell is that thing? It was freaky," end quote. Now, admittedly, the last two reports don't exactly, say anything that actually, they don't describe it in as much detail as I feel like the first report did, but they're still both very, very freaky. Now, after all these incidences, Point Pleasant was actually able to use such a terrifying incidences and make it into a tourist attraction for the town. The town hosts a yearly Mothman festival where they have a lot of, the whole town itself is very Mothman themed. I haven't gone. I would like to go one day, but it looks really, really cute. They're definitely playing into something that some people would say plagued the town, but they're definitely turning it into a positive. Now, obviously, due to COVID last year, there wasn't a festival. I'm not sure if there's going to be one this year, but if there is, I just hope that everybody stays safe and has a good, respectful time. And that, my friends, is the story of the Mothman. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you believe in the Mothman? Like I said, I'm kind of on the fence a little bit because as much as it might sound kind of hypocritical that I believe in Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster, but I'm questioning this one, I just feel like it has to do with the fact that a giant moth, you know what I mean? I don't know. But there's so many instances of people who have reported to see it, and even the one guy who said he didn't even know of the Mothman, maybe it is an alien. I don't know. We don't really know much about aliens, so how can we really say that it's not an alien? Overall, though, I do really like the story of the Mothman. It sounds so creepy and interesting, and I don't know. I do want to visit the Mothman Festival one year. I feel like that would be really cool, and I'm really happy that the town was able to turn something like this into a little theme for their town and something that can bring in at least a little bit of tourism. So yeah, if you guys go to the Mothman Festival this year, let me know. I'm not going to be going, but one day I will probably go. Yeah, so as you can see, this is the final costume. I am Poison Ivy. I really like how my makeup came out. I didn't want to do the green skin version of Poison Ivy, partially because that was going to be a lot of work, so but also I didn't want to paint my entire body. But I hope the eyeshadow is a really good paying homage to the green and as well as wearing all green. Yeah, let me know if you guys liked this story, if you liked my costume. Make sure you check out the full costume. I'm gonna have a photo over on Instagram. Make sure you give it a like and follow me over there oh, there go my leaves. Follow me over there if you'd like to keep up with me a little bit more and to hear the updates on some of my videos. So yeah, if you liked the video, make sure you like the video and subscribe down below so you don't miss out on any of the future spooky content that we have going for October. We're almost done. It makes me so sad that I'm almost done with all these costumes, but don't worry, I still have quite a few coming up. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, a good rest of your week, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.